Hello, legal-minded friends. I'm Karen Cole. Sarah Boone was sentenced to life in prison for second-degree M. Let's have a chat about her sentencing hearing. Prior to sentencing, the court gave, and they give all offenders, the opportunity to address the court before sentencing. This gives a convicted offender an opportunity to make a final plea before the court considers their sentencing. Sarah Boone took the stand, and let me give you my take on what she said in the typical Sarah Boone style. She took no responsibility for causing her boyfriend Jorge Torres' death. She pleaded for forgiveness in one breath, and she said that she returned to reading the gospel and is now living a life of service to God, and in the next breath, she forgave everyone who made blood money reporting on and discussing her case in the media. She verbally blamed George's family, and her testimony was after George's mother, Mrs. Torres, spoke of not having hate for Sarah and how she missed her relationship with her son, how he is not in their lives because of Sarah Boone's decisions. George's family spoke from their heart about the absence and pain they have still so many years later, and that pain will never go away. So after hearing this, Sarah Boone said her pain would be forever. It was part their fault for not helping her and George, knowing what he was capable of. Honestly, you would have to hear it for yourself. I've never heard such a self-serving plea. She pleaded with the court to recognize her as a victim. Her 20-minute rant did not impress the judge, and the judge took 1 minute to tell us, after reviewing the evidence and testimony that was presented at the trial, the victim impact statements presented before him in this sentencing hearing, including statements of character witnesses for Sarah Boone, both orally and in writing, Dr. Harper's report, and the defendant's own testimony, the pre-sentencing investigation, arguments of the state, and arguments for the defense. And he pronounced sentence as follows. Ms. Boone, the court sentenced you to life in the Department of Corrections. He had no further comments other than the necessary housekeeping mentions, such as time served and the option to appeal within time. Sarah's defense attorney gave a lengthy statement. After leaving the court, he wasted no time in telling the media how disappointed they were in the sentencing of life. And the next step would be to file an appeal. Let's listen to a portion of what he said. A full clip is linked here in the comment section, or you can see it above with a clickable link.
Your reaction to the verdict?
Well, disappointed with that. I thought because she did suffer from battered spouse syndrome, and that was elicited from the state's expert as well as the defense expert, as well as the testimony from Sarah Boone, as well as the photographs and the evidence, the arrest of Mr. Torres prior, that she was the victim of battered spouse. I thought the court should consider that. It was within his discretion to give her life. I just strongly disagree with that result.
So she's going to try and get another trial?
Well, yeah, if when you file an appeal and you claim that there was errors made either by the judge or by the prosecutor, or whatever the case may be, and the appellate court agrees and says we're going to send this back to the trial court, we're going to set aside the verdict, and it'll have to be tried again or resolved some way. At that point, it's back to square one for negotiations with the state attorney. But of course, that's her hope, that she wins an appeal. Nobody wants to do life in prison.
Who will pay for all of this?
The state of Florida.
Taxpayer?
The taxpayer.
The statement she made in court with his family in there, knowing that he was no longer alive on the bench there, I would say that she forgave them, but not stopping the abuse. If that's something that you advised her on in that statement?
Well, that's something that she came up with that she wanted to say.
To be blaming the victim, the dead victim's family for...
I don't know that she was blaming. I think she was saying she forgave them. She felt like they should have intervened. I know that sometimes you'll have interventions where family members will intervene in a situation where you know it's so toxic or know it's potentially violent, you know the history of the person. I don't know. That's what she wanted to say. I believe she believed in her heart of hearts that she was a victim, and maybe they should have done something sooner. Maybe it is, to some degree, just Sarah Boone not wanting to accept the responsibility that she knew all along that she should have gotten out of the relationship. She just didn't have the courage to get out of it. So she's wanting to say to other people, maybe y'all should have stepped in and helped me some more because I was too weak or not strong enough not independent enough to let go.
What did she say after she was given the life sentence?
I think she was, she didn't say much other than, can you believe he gave me life? Or can you believe I got life? And I said, that's all she said.
Does it surprise you that Sarah Boone's first comment to her attorney after her sentencing was to ask him, can you believe I got life? And he replied, no. Sarah had great hopes for her defense's request for a lower sentence, that her attorney would persuade the judge to go downward from the lowest starting point of 20.5 years. Their reasoning is because of the mitigating factors such as Sarah having been diagnosed with battered spouse syndrome, extreme duress, all which met the requirements for medical treatment. She had no criminal record, and they asked the judge to consider she didn't tamper with the evidence, which should be taken as she had no intentions to cause her boyfriend George's death.
But are you done at this point?
I'm done, other than I've got to file the notice of appeal. So I've got to do that. So I'm out of the case at this point.
Thank you so much.
All right.
For those of you who don't know, and those who remember all too well, Sarah admitted to playing a game of hide and seek. George willingly, according to Sarah, got in the suitcase. She zipped him up and took a video while he was in the suitcase begging and pleading with her to let him out, repeatedly saying he couldn't breathe. Yet Sarah taunted him with her words of revenge, and when he tried to escape, she beat him with a bat and went up to her bed to go to sleep, saying she thought he could get out of the suitcase. They were both intoxicated, and while she slept, George died from a lack of oxygen. So you can check out my playlist if you want to know some more detail. Sarah Boone was offered a plea deal of 15 years just before her trial started, and I'll never guess why she didn't take it. The judge may have considered a lower sentence in her sentencing hearing with a chance of parole had Sarah taken responsibility and used her time wisely while she was in jail for the last 4.5 years. Had she taken advantage of medical treatment? We don't know. Dr. Harper had no updates to offer the court regarding any treatment she had had. Instead, Dr. Harper doubled down on Sarah's history of mental duress, PTSD, and troubles growing up. And all this contributed to her controlling behavior. And they said it was stemmed from her childhood. Well, that gives me pause to think, well, maybe we're dealing with something a lot more serious than just something that happened on the night of the incident. After hearing this and Sarah Boone's victim-blaming speech, I totally expected the judge to sentence her to life. And in Florida, life means life. No parole, meaning her only hope is an appeal. I thought to avoid an appeal and further emotional pain to the family, all those involved, the cost to the taxpayer, 25 years would have been a more appropriate sentence with good behavior. That would mean she would have spent 1 year for every hour she slept. And it would have been longer than the plea offer. So it still would have meant, it would have been better for her to take the plea offer. So, but what Sarah did to George, in my view, she had a deprived mind, and a new sentence on appeal will not change that. Sarah Boone is not part of the norm, and I'm going to explain that in just a second. She could not see how she was responsible. She decided to play the odds before her trial and not be part of the norm. So what is the norm? 90 to 95% of cases in Florida, USA are resolved through plea bargaining. Victims are guaranteed a conviction and it speeds up the court proceedings. Though on the flip side, some people believe that it prevents justice from being served. Sarah Boone was offered a plea deal and did not accept it. Accepting a plea deal is accepting the punishment and limits the appeal rights, unless there is an exception, such as reserving appeal rights as part of the plea agreement. But accepting a plea deal does not mean the offender cannot show remorse. If you or anyone you know finds themselves needing to make a final plea statement to the court or beg for mercy, as we say over here across the pond, before the court makes a sentencing, there is a way to say sorry and show remorse. And I use the Alec Murdaugh trial to discuss how to say you're sorry to victims and their families. Because if it's not done in, an honest way that the court can, see that you're sincere, then you've also got to take practical steps to show how you've bettered yourself. And it's great to believe in a higher power. That's wonderful. And ask for forgiveness, which Sarah Boone did. But you've also got to demonstrate to the court that one day you will not be a threat to society. Otherwise, the judge will not use their powerful discretion they have in lowering sentence within the guidelines. So check out this video and the playlist on Sarah Boone, as her case has provided us with many legal processes to learn from. You may remember early on in this video, I played Sarah Boone's attorney speaking to the media after court had finished. And he said, to some degree, Sarah Boone didn't want to accept responsibility that she knew all along that she should have gotten out of the relationship. So when we hear Abraham Lincoln say, you cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today, it was true then, and it's still true now. Sarah Boone had all the right words. She asked for forgiveness. She said she felt shame. But she didn't take responsibility. And responsibility means you accept what you did, even if it was just not leaving the relationship, knowing that the relationship had all these problems in it. By not leaving the relationship and then having a breakdown or a final straw or a rage, an uncontrollable rage just to leave him there in the suitcase, knowing she should have done something. What she did was wrong. She may not have recognized at the time because of what she was going through, but she should have recognized it now and not blamed anyone. By not taking responsibility and not coming across as being very sorry, all contributed to the sentence that she received from the court. By leaving a comment, you may help someone else that will read your comment. And of course, I love to read all comments as they are valued, and together we can be more informed. And this information may help you or someone you know. In the meantime, on this channel, you'll find a variety of playlists to suit every curiosity about the justice system. And we provide you with a visual to information and the process. Going through a legal worry is devastating, and the Who Knew and Why Me playlists are designed to help you or someone you know. So please like this video if you like this kind of content. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you want to be notified when I'm going live or upload another video. I'm Karen Cole from Legal Minded Friends. Information is power, meaning if you know something, you can make decisions that are right for you.